All right, so welcome to the first lesson of the year. So today we're doing average rate of change, which other words for average rate of change are slope, which you probably have heard since like maybe Algebra 1, middle school, maybe even. And in IB math, it's called gradient. They both mean the same thing. So slope or gradient are equivalent to average rate of change. So this right here is the formula for slope. So you do need to memorize that formula. The first thing that you want to do is identify what is your x. So there usually is like some sort of order pair. So x comma y. The way I remember this is x comes before y in the alphabet. And so here we have two order pairs or two coordinates. So the first number is x. The second number is y. So since this is our first coordinate, I'll call this x1 and then y1. And this is our second coordinate. So I'm going to call this first number x2 and y2. So the first thing you want to do is identify what is your x1, y1, x2, y2, okay? And then you just literally just write it down. So our x1 is 2, our y1 is -3, and our x2 is 7, our y2 is 12, okay? And then you're going to go ahead and take these numbers and put it into the formula. So the formula is take y2, so we're going to set up a fraction bar. So we're going to take y2, which is 12. There's always a minus sign after it, and then you're going to put minus y1, which is -3. I'm going to put -3 in parentheses, so that way I don't have 12 minus -3 and think it's the same thing as 12 minus 3, which it's not. And on the bottom, we're going to put our x's. So we're going to put our second x first, which is 7. So 7 minus our x1, which is 2. Okay. And this lovely thing just literally just gets plugged into our calculator. So if you can take your calculator out at this time and you go to your calculator, so I have mine right here. So the first thing we want to do is clear anything that's there. We want to put a fraction bar. So the way that you do that is alpha and y equals. There are other ways to do it. This is the way that most students prefer. So this is the way that I do it. And then you hit option number 1, which is a fraction. And you literally just type in everything that's there. So 12 minus parentheses -3. So the minus sign, just so you know, is here, and the negative sign is here. So there is a difference. If you were to put 12 minus -3, it would mark it incorrect. It would give you an error. And then on the bottom is 7 minus 2. And then you literally just hit enter, and it'll give you 3. So our slope, or our gradient, or our rate of change is 3. Usually they call it m, right? So you see that right here, m, and yeah, that's something that we do need to know. All right. These key concepts, well, we would have filled this out in class, so let's not worry about that right now. Let's do a whole class example. So find the average rate of change of the function f of x during the interval from 1 to 3. So this first number that they give us is our x1, and the second number that they give us is x2, okay? So we know right now that for this first one, right, our x1 is going to be 1, and our x2 is going to be 3. All right, so we're looking at 1 where x is 1 and where x is 3. So first number that they gave us, again, like we said, is x1. This is our x2. So the one that goes along with the x1 is called the y1, and this is y2. And then again, you're going to go ahead and plug that into your thing, just so right here, so you don't get confused. And our y2 is 16. So once we've identified it, we can plug it into our formula, right? Which our formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so now we're just going to plug numbers in, okay? So our y2 is 16, so 16 minus our y1 is 4, and then our x2 is 3 minus our x1, which is 1. Um, 16 minus 4, again, you can plug this right into your calculator. 16 minus 4 is 12, and 3 minus 1 is 2, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. So that means that our slope, our m, is equal to 6, right? Some people call it like rise. This is our rise over our run, okay? You might have remembered that from middle school. So now what do you do if we don't have, like, we just have our x's? So here's our x1 and our x2. But what do we do if we don't have our y's, right? So we need to remember that h of t is the same thing as y equals, and we have our function, which is negative 16t squared plus 50t plus 3. So what we're going to do is take our calculator and we're going to go to y equals. That's how I like to do it. So we're going to hit negative 16. And instead of t, we can call this x just because it's right here. X squared. Then we put a plus 50x and plus 3. Okay. So you are doing this along with me, right? So you're not just watching me doing this and taking notes. You should take your calculator, plug this into the calculator, and make sure you get the same thing. Okay. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to find at where x is 0 and where x is 2. So we're going to hit second graph to go to our table. And across from 0, we see the number 3. So that's our y1 is 3. And across from the number 2, we're going to look and we see 39. Okay, so 39. And then again, we do the same thing. We plug it into our formula. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And again, you should always write the formula so that you remember not only what it is, but also that you plug things in correctly. And so our y2 is the same thing right here. This is our h2. So we're going to do 39 minus our y1, which is 3. And then on the bottom, we're going to do the same thing with our x's. So since 39 went first, the number across from that is 2. So we're going to do 2 minus 0, right? This is our x1, our x2. This is our y1 and our y2. And then we're going to take this lovely thing and just plug it into the calculator. So second quit to get out of this. Again, to get a fraction, alpha y equals option number 1. And we're going to type this in. Even though we could do this in our head, 39 minus 3 on the top, and on the bottom 2 minus 0. Okay, if you just want to put 2 there, that's fine. And then we get our final answer is 18. So we get m is equal to 18. Good. So that's whole class example 2. Right now I'm gonna ask you to stop the video and then do the check for understanding. Show that to Professor Varghese and what is me, and go ahead and see if you got this correct. Fun fact, just real quick, to get the square root in the calculator, you're probably going to be like, how do I get that square root? Okay, so go to y equals again, clear this. To get the square root in the calculator, you see it right here, it's above the x squared. So you're going to hit second and the x squared button, and then you're going to type in the function, which is just x, and then find these points. All right. You should have enough right now to go ahead and do the check for understandings. There are 2 of them, so please stop the video and then go ahead and do it yourself.